Have you ever wondered what truly makes something or someone good? It's a question that has intrigued humanity for centuries, sparking countless debates and shaping civilizations. Goodness, it seems, is a chameleon, changing its colors based on societal norms, personal beliefs, and the passage of time. To some it may be kindness, to others bravery, and yet to others it might be honesty or integrity. Yet, in the midst of these myriad interpretations, there comes a voice from the ancient past offering a unique perspective. It is the voice of Tao Te Ching in its 8th chapter, which likens the highest form of goodness to water. Water that flows downward to the lowest place, yet nourishes all life. This ancient wisdom invites us to reconsider our understanding of what it means to be good. Today we dive into the teachings of Tao Te Ching Chapter 8 to explore a unique perspective on the nature of goodness. In Tao Te Ching Chapter 8, the highest good is compared to water. This comparison, simple yet profound, is the foundation of an age-old Taoist teaching. Water, as we know, is an element of nature that possesses a unique set of characteristics. It is soft, yet it can wear away the hardest stone. It is transparent, yet it can reflect the brightest light. It is fluid, yet it can shape the landscape. But the most incredible characteristic of water is its tendency to flow naturally to the lowest places. It doesn't seek the heights. It doesn't aspire to reach the mountaintops. Instead, it finds its way into the deepest valleys, the most hidden crevices, the places that other elements might overlook or shun. And in doing so, it benefits all things without striving. This behavior of water embodies the Taoist principle of Wu Wei, or effortless action. Wu Wei isn't about inaction, but rather it's about action that doesn't involve struggle or excessive effort. It's about moving with the natural flow of life, much like water flows along the path of least resistance. Water does not seek recognition for its deeds. It doesn't strive for reward or appreciation. Yet it is indispensable. It nourishes the earth, gives life to the flora and fauna, quenches thirst, cleanses and purifies. It serves all without discrimination, without expectation, simply fulfilling its nature. Now imagine if we could embody these qualities in our lives. Imagine if we could flow with life's ups and downs without resisting, without striving. Imagine if we could serve others selflessly without expectation of reward or recognition. Imagine if we could find fulfillment in simply being and doing, in fulfilling our unique purpose in life. This is the wisdom that Tao Te Ching Chapter 8 invites us to contemplate. This is the lesson that the humble element of water teaches us: to be like water, to flow naturally, to serve without striving, to be soft yet powerful. Just like water, the highest good does not strive, yet it naturally achieves its purpose. Consider the story of a humble gardener. His life was one not of grandeur or pomp, but of simple, honest toil. He was a man who found joy in the sweat of his brow, the earth beneath his hands, and the green shoots that sprung from the ground with the dawn of each new day. His garden was his kingdom, and he was its devoted servant. The humble gardener was not a man of vast wealth or high status. He did not dwell in a grand mansion, nor did he sit at the head of a long table, commanding respect from those below him. Instead, he lived in a small cottage, surrounded by the fruits of his labor. His wealth was the soil and the seeds. His power was in the rhythm of the seasons, and his status was reflected in the growth of his plants. His life was a reflection of the teachings of Tao Te Ching Chapter 8. The highest good is like water. It flows downward to the lowest place. Just like water, the gardener did not strive to rise above others. He did not seek to be on top of the hill, looking down on everyone else. Instead, he found contentment in his humble role, nurturing his garden and sharing the fruits of his labor with all who needed it. Every day he would rise with the sun, his hands already itching to dig into the earth. He would plant, nurture and harvest, his heart full of joy for the simple act of creation. His garden was not just a source of sustenance, but also a sanctuary, a place of peace and tranquility, where he could connect with nature and with himself. Like water, the gardener was gentle yet powerful. He did not force the plants to grow, but rather provided them with the nourishment they needed and allowed nature to take its course. He understood that growth cannot be rushed, that each plant has its own rhythm and timing. And so he patiently waited, tending to his garden with love and care, trusting in the wisdom of nature. And when the time came for harvest, he did not hoard the fruits of his labor. Instead, he shared them generously with his neighbors, understanding that the true value of his garden was not in what he could gain from it, but in what he could give. His life was not one of fame or power, but it was one of fulfillment. He found joy in the simple things, contentment in his humble status, and fulfillment in his service to others. He did not strive to be the biggest, the best, or the most powerful. Instead, he strived to be like water, flowing downward to the lowest place, nourishing all things without striving. Though humble and lowly, the gardener was the embodiment of the highest good, just like water. He was a living testament to the teachings of Tao Te Ching Chapter 8, a reminder that the highest good is not found in the pursuit of power or status, but in the simple act of nurturing and giving. So how does this story apply to our lives? In the hustle and bustle of our modern world, we often find ourselves striving, reaching and rushing. We're constantly seeking more success, more wealth, more recognition. But the wisdom from Tao Te Ching Chapter 8 suggests a different approach. It tells us that the highest good is like water, which flows effortlessly, naturally, and benefits all things without striving for recognition. In essence, the teachings of Tao Te Ching encourage us to live in harmony with our nature and environment. It's not about chasing after external achievements or validations, but about finding fulfillment and meaning within ourselves. When we live in harmony with our true nature, we find peace. We stop fighting against the current of life and start flowing with it. Like water, we become adaptable, flexible, and gentle. This philosophy also aligns with the idea of altruism. Altruism is about considering the needs of others and acting for their benefit without expecting anything in return. It's about giving freely and generously, just like water that nourishes all things without discrimination. Altruism and the teachings of Tao Te Ching share the same core principle, the practice of selfless love and kindness. But how do we achieve this state of being? Well, it's not something that can be forced or rushed. It's about making small, conscious choices every day. It's about choosing to respond with kindness instead of anger, choosing to act with generosity instead of greed, choosing to be patient instead of hurried. With time and practice, these choices become our second nature, and we start embodying the highest good. Let's take inspiration from the humble gardener in our story. Despite his lowly status, he was content and at peace because he lived in harmony with his nature and environment. He didn't strive for more. Instead, he cherished what he had and shared it generously with others. When we live like water, flowing naturally and benefiting all things, we embody the highest good. So what can we learn from Tao Te Ching, Chapter 8? In this chapter, we are invited to examine the concept of goodness through a unique lens. It urges us to redefine our understanding of the term, suggesting that the highest good is akin to water. Just as water effortlessly flows to the lowest places, nourishing all it touches without striving, so too should our goodness flow naturally and without pretense. The teachings of water in this chapter offer profound insights. Water in its stillness reflects the world as it is, without distortion. In its motion, it finds the path of least resistance, yet it possesses the power to shape the land. It serves all of life indiscriminately, asking nothing in return. This is the demeanor we should aspire to emulate, one of stillness, resilience, and selfless service. We then heard the story of the humble gardener who, despite his lowly status, was revered by all for his wisdom and kindness. His life was a testament to the principles outlined in this chapter. He lived simply, worked diligently, and served his community without seeking recognition or reward. His actions were not driven by a desire for personal gain, but by a genuine love for his work and his fellow beings. But how do we apply these lessons in our lives? We can start by practicing humility and kindness in our daily interactions. We can strive to be more like the gardener, finding joy in the act of giving without expecting anything in return. We can learn to be like water, adapting to life's challenges with grace and resilience and serving others selflessly. In essence, Tao Te Ching Chapter 8 teaches us to embody the highest good like water. It encourages us to let our goodness flow naturally, to be of service to others without striving, and to find fulfillment in the simple act of living. In embodying the highest good like water, we learn to live effortlessly, benefiting all things without striving, and in doing so, we find our fulfillment and purpose.